Gameweek 31 isn't about picking the best players, it's about survival. Some managers will use a chip, some will take hits, and some will go in with less than 11 players and just hope for the best. But what really is the top strategy this week? Hi everyone, welcome back to FPL Fix. This is your blank Gameweek 31 preview. I'm James, and as always, I'm joined by Patrick.
Hi everyone. This is one of those weeks where strategy matters way more than players. You can't just chase points, you need a solid plan. Let's get straight into the detail.
Okay, before we look at any players, here's the situation for Gameweek 31. Now Crystal Palace have progressed in Europe, we have 4 teams confirmed to blank this week. Arsenal, Man City, Crystal Palace and Wolves all don't play, so a lot of the most owned players in the game are useless this week. Which means this isn't about building the perfect team, it's about getting enough players out without ruining your squad or putting your long-term plans in jeopardy.
Exactly. If you haven't planned well, you could be sitting there with 6 or 7 players and suddenly you're forced into taking hits or burning a chip you didn't want to use.
So let's break this down because there are 3 main approaches this week. Option 1 is the free hit. It looks tempting, but honestly this should be a last resort. Gameweek 33 and 34 are coming up, and you'll likely need a completely different team for both the way the fixtures are panning out at the moment. That's where the free hit chip has way more value, and using it now could cost you later.
Option 2 is making transfers and taking hits. If you're already close with 9 or 10 players, then a -4, even a -8 can make sense. And that's still better than using your free hit this week. But don't go too far with it though, because those points are hard to win back this late in the season.
And the third option is just to accept it. If you've got 10 players, you can just roll, save transfers and attack the upcoming weeks instead. It sounds boring, but might just be the best play with all the fixture information we're due to get over the 3-week FPL hiatus.
So what's the target? How many players should we actually be aiming for?
Okay, realistically, 10 players is fine, 11 players is great, and anything more than that is just a bonus and some bench cover. But this is the key part. A lot of managers won't have 11 players, so you're not really falling behind with 10. This week is really about damage limitation, not chasing a massive score. Alright, now let's move on to the fun part. The best 1-week punts, and these are also the main captain options this week. Harry Wilson's top. He scored 16 points in the reverse fixture against Burnley. He was in scintillating form ahead of his injury, and he's back fit again and with the perfect fixture at home to Burnley. He should be a great option this week.
Bruno's next. He can't be overlooked. He's averaged just over 10 points a game in his last 3 and looks unstoppable at the moment. The fixture isn't perfect. Away to a Bournemouth side who have only conceded 1 goal in the last 4 games, but Bruno's form at the moment, it's hard to see him failing to get a return of some sort.
Anthony Gordon's the next pick. He's playing number 10 for Newcastle ahead of Walter Marder and Wissa. He's on penalties and has a huge ceiling. We've already seen him score a hat-trick in the Champions League this season, and now they've only got the Premier League to focus on. We should see him getting more minutes and having more of an impact in the league from now on. Let us know in the comments who's got your armband this week.
And if you're thinking long term, focus on players who are nailed in their teams, who have a fixture in 31 and who have a good chance of doubling in 33. Newcastle and Chelsea look like the key teams to target here. Even though Chelsea play Man City in 32, which isn't ideal, they have Everton this week and are likely to double in 33 if the FA Cup results go as expected. Okay, let's have a quick recap on Game Week 30 before we show our team selection and how we are approaching this blank. James, why don't you start?
I finished on 56 points last week and got a tiny green arrow, but it pushed me up inside the top 68,000 in the world. I made a few bad decisions by leaving 2 of my highest scorers on the bench, with Van Heck and Anderson combining for 16 points, when I had 7 players in my starting 11 who failed to return, which was really painful. The Arsenal clean sheet was great for my Raya and Gabriel double up. Thiago scored a single goal against Wolves, but my star player again was Bruno, and more importantly, giving the armband to him. The 20 points was massive and basically the only reason I managed to scrape through with a green arrow. How did your team get on?
I actually finished on exactly the same score as you, 56, even though we've got loads of different players. Leno did well for me in goal with a 7-pointer, even though I benched Anderson 7 as well, which would have been a nice double up. Other than that, Gabriel, Thiago and Bruno as my captain carried my team to a green arrow, and it's all set up pretty nicely for the blank coming up. Okay, it's time for the big team reveals now, for the blank game week. James, why don't you start, because I know you've been planning for this week for months now.
Yeah, there has been a lot of planning, so this week I've actually decided to roll the transfer again and get up to 4 in the bank to use after my wildcard in Game Week 32. As long as Roeths is fit and available, then I've got a full 11, but if not, I probably won't even use a transfer and I'll just play with 10. I think the value of the free transfer is greater than the potential for any of the goalkeeper options this week. So I'm lining up with Roeths in goal, a back four of Van Dijk, Van den Berg, Van Heck and Anderson. The only one of those that looks any good this week is Anderson, but in a blank game week, any players that are likely to start and get good minutes are good options, so I can't complain too much. My midfield is Bruno away to Bournemouth as my vice-captain, Harry Wilson, who we spoke about earlier, who's got my armband this week at home to Burnley, and then Enzo away to Everton and Anderson away to Spurs. I'm playing 2 up front this week, with Thiago away to Leeds and Raul Jimenez to complete the Fulham triple up and really target the Burnley fixture. I've got no bench cover at all, but all my players except Roeths have a great chance of starting and getting good minutes. How's your team lining up this week?
I'm taking a slightly different approach. I'm making one transfer that will give me a full starting 11. I'm playing double Fulham at the back, with Leno and Anderson for their great fixture against Burnley. Then it's Juve away to Villa, who have been poor lately, and Van de Ven with a chance to redeem himself at home to Nottingham Forest. In midfield, I've got Man United double up, with Mbeumo and Mr. Consistency Bruno Fernandes, who has my armband this week. Then it's Ryan, who plays against Man United. Wilson with his huge potential against Burnley, and I've gone with Szoboszlai over Gordon as my Semenyo replacement. If Salah is out, then Szoboszlai will be on penalties and have even more routes to points in addition to his immense form. My 2 up front both play away this week, both have decent matchups, Ekitike against Brighton and Thiago against Leeds. I'm just making the one transfer this week. I'm going to roll the other 2. I think the transfers will be more useful once we get updated fixture information.
Yeah, I think that's what makes this week so interesting. There isn't really one correct way to play it, it all depends on how your team's set up. And that's all for this one. If you found it useful, then hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, it really helps us out.
And you can follow us on X, a weekend fix, for last minute tips and advice ahead of the deadline at 6:30 today.
Thanks for watching, good luck this game week, and we'll be back after the international break for Game Week 32.